Coming to you live from the city that sleeps quite frequently, but where it is still illegal to lick a toad. It's time once again for the long shot, come hell or high water. Tonight's episode, the sexy blank episode. And now please welcome the hosts of the long shot, Amber Kenny and Sean Conroy.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Long Shot Podcast. Recorded via Zoom. We could be anywhere, and we certainly are. I am your co-host, Amber Kenny, along with the other co-host, Sean Conroy.
Hi there. That's me. I'm the other co-host, and I guess I'll start just right away without even getting into anything.
Well, I was going to say Joe and Jamie are on assignment. They couldn't be here tonight.
Yes. No, I think that's good to mention. I forgot to, we'll get back to that because I want to know what their assignments are. And I want to know if
they're hard, apparently.
I want to know if they have the assignment.
They're long, hard assignments.
Isn't that the big thing now? I understood the assignment. Like that's
right, yes.
The TikTok thing. Yeah. So I had a big day today because I did one thing. So right before I left for Idaho, which I'm back from Idaho now. I was in Idaho last time we recorded together. Now I'm back from Idaho. Right before I left from Idaho, my toilet chain broke. I don't know if you know how the thing in the back of the toilet works, but there's a chain that when you flush, it lifts up and I had fixed it like a year ago with a paper clip. Like the chain had broken once before. I fixed it with a paper clip. As you know, the water in LA is very hard. They call it hard water because there's lots of minerals in it. And those minerals had eventually corroded that paper clip and it snapped and was broken. I've had people over to the apartment since then, and that's a difficulty because both times I've forgotten to say, oh, by the way, you just have to lift the tank in the back. And, so there's been moments of panic of like, oh my God, what did I do? But today I finally was like, okay, I'm going to go to the grocery store, the hardware store and get a chain so I can repair it. So I went to Home Depot, which it's big. It's a big place. There's a lot going on there. There's quite a bit of hullabaloo as you drive into the parking lot and into the, finding parking.
Did you go to the one across the street from the old UCB RIP?
Yes, I did. Although today I didn't even look towards the UCB theater. So maybe I'm
You're healing
over that. But I did drive by there the other day, and I was struck by the fact that does not belong to the Upright Citizens Brigade anymore, and yet it still says Upright Citizen still says UCB, and there's just like fences up and graffiti, but all the posters from the podcasts are still
really
there. Like there's just been nothing. It's very sad. But anyway, so yes, I went to that Home Depot and I went in and I realized as I was looking for where might I find, toilet accoutrement. And what I realized is that everybody doesn't know where they're going in that place. Because I just was like walking into people who, like me, were looking up, trying to figure out where they were.
We're like, are the knobs by the doors or by the hardware?
So I felt badly because I was like, we're in this pandemic thing still. So everybody's wearing a mask and getting too physically close. But I was like, it's not just me. It's everybody here is going through this. But eventually I started making my way towards it. And I heard this guy, this was just like classic great customer service because this guy said, I heard a guy say to a person who worked there, he goes, this was his specific question. Can you tell me where I would find a slider for a glass door? And the guy who was working there went, "A slider for a glass door?" Like it was the craziest thing he had ever heard. And then he immediately went, "Oh yeah, that's on aisle 9." Like
he just had to process it.
Yeah, it just was bizarre. Anyway, I got that, left from there, driving out. And this is like, I don't know. I'm finding it stressful to be back in the world, like being, because I don't go out. I don't do things. I went up to Idaho. I was up there, but that's out in the middle of nowhere. It wasn't like I was going out and hanging out with people or whatever. I mean, we went out to dinner a couple times. We went to a restaurant where supposedly the waitress that had our table was a QAnon supporter, which made me feel very strange while I was there.
How do you know that?
Because she had a kid who was in class with my friend's kid, and they were like, "Yeah, she's QAnon," and I was like, "I don't want to get into it."
Check, please.
Yeah.
But
so I'm driving, I don't know if it's me or if the world is more bonkers at this point, but like I was stopped at a light. The light was green, but there was somebody crossing the street and somebody making a right. I was making a left. This is going to sound so convoluted and hard to describe, but I was making
Can't wait. Let's do it.
I was making a left. Somebody directly across from me in the intersection was making a right. Meanwhile,
so you guys were going the same
direction. A pedestrian was crossing the street. So I'm waiting for the pedestrian to cross. The pedestrian passes. The guy making the right, I feel, has the right of way, so he should go first. The guy behind me does not agree with my interpretation of who has the right of way, lays on his horn very angrily at me to go. I do not go. He starts to pull out and around me and go left in front of me at this intersection, at which point I'm like, no, sir, fuck you. And I pull out and around and cut him off so that he's stuck in the middle of traffic coming the other direction. And he pulls out and around me and pulls up next to me, and he's glaring at me and I'm glaring. And it just was like this escalated so quickly into a crazy, nothing happened, but it was like, this is on the verge of being a road rage incident.
Right. Well, someone could have gotten hurt if there was another pedestrian, if like there are things that could have gone wrong.
Right. And I don't know if he just didn't see the pedestrian or what was going on in his head, but it just escalated so quickly to where I was like, yeah, let's fucking do this, dude. Let's do it. I want this to happen. And 2 seconds before
and what is this? Like
2 seconds before that, I was just giggling at the reaction of the guy in the Home Depot of like, a slider for a like it just went from, what is this? Let's do this. Let's do this. Let's fucking do this,
No, but what is this in that sentence? like fighting?
I would say maybe,
or just escalating.
What I would do is challenge him to a board game of some sort, maybe Stratego or Othello, like one of the more upscale but old school,
Thinky.
Sorry. Parcheesi is a good one because there's a lot of strategy involved in Parcheesi. Or just we could punch each other, So this would be any of those things. But then I had all these other things I wanted to do. I wanted to go to the drugstore and like find out if are they doing vaccines, like booster shots, like at drugstores at this point?
I feel like everyone I talk to is getting their booster shot. And I'm like, oh no, like, am I what? Who?
They're not out.
No one told me. Yeah, I'm not sure. I think so. I think you just...
So I was going to go to the drugstore and I needed to go to the post office, and I got to the post office, and the parking lot across from the post office is now a pay lot. It used to be just a public lot. And I went in and I parked the car and I went to pay, and I was like, I'll pay like whatever, 50 cents for, it was $12 for 2 hours was the least you could do. And I was like, I know the post office is slow, but I ain't going to be in there for 2 hours. I ain't paying no $12. So that was that. I pulled the ripcord on that adventure. And then I was like driving up the hill, coming back towards the drugstore. And I was like, am I crazy for thinking they should have? It just was like a long process of realizing that I don't know what the fuck is going on.
Yeah, you might need an appointment. I don't know.
Right.
I've also heard that it's like beating the shit out of people. Everyone I talked to who've gotten the booster shot has been like laid out for a day or so.
I won't believe that until it happens, but I will say to the booster shot, let's do this. Let's do this. Let us do this.
Or cheesy.
If you want to do this, let's do this, So that was my day. That was
just today.
That was just a full day. I mean,
no, I hear you. This isn't the same thing, but like in the before times, I would work all day and then I would go to rehearsal or I would like hang out with friends. Or, like I was always doing things. And now I'm like, ugh. I went out 3 nights ago. Like I'm still recovering. Like I don't know how I did anything.
Yeah,
I have to do like one thing, like not the Saturday night I was technically invited to 3 different small Halloween gatherings.
Humble brag.
Brag. But I was just like, it swallowed me in anxiety. Like I can't do that.
Right. It means greeting a lot of people, meeting a lot of people, saying hello to people, it's a lot to deal with. How many of them did you go to?
I technically made it to 2, but they were both walking distance of my house. So it made it very easy. And the first one, the people were going to the second one. So it wasn't like I had to even say like, oh, I need to leave now to go to a party because I wouldn't know when to do that.
So the first one was more of a pre-party party than a party. It was like,
absolutely,
meet up at this party and then we're going to go to this other party.
But it was all very awkward. I don't know. Like, I don't know if it was just me or everyone, but I just felt like we're talking now. Like, I don't know how people don't know how to be people, or I don't know how to be people.
Yeah, I think that's the problem I'm having as well, is I don't know how to be people or even a person.
Right.
At this point, because I've been away from it for so long. The only interactions I have are with people on Zoom like this, where you're just in somebody else's face the entire time, as opposed to just normal human interactions.
Right.
I wonder if, I guess we'll all get back to normal at some point. I mean, a lot of people think this is not even a real big deal. Like the whole COVID thing is kind of, I've heard that we shouldn't even be concerned about it. It's not an issue. Really. There was no reason to ever do anything about it, this is not really, well, I'm going to do it anyway. This isn't really my story, although I was around when it happened. But so I was up in Idaho, and I had been there, as we all know. I was there last year around this time as well. And I don't know if you remember, but there was a thing that happened while I was up there last year, which I found fascinating, where my friend who has horses had her farrier come to work on the horses. And the farrier is the blacksmith who works on their shoes. He's a shoe guy. Like, he's like, I think this guy needs an 11.5. His foot has grown since the last time I was here. You want to walk in these for a bit and then come back, and we'll see if that's too much cushioning for you.
It's so crazy that we nail shoes on horses. That's crazy, right?
Well, horses in general are a wild thing to me, because just the whole difficulty with horses is their legs and feet. Their legs and feet are so different from
ours.
Yes. I mean, I was like, you don't need a farrier. I got an old pair of running shoes right here. Just take them. I'm happy for you to take them. No, but I mean, their legs are not designed to support them correctly. Like they
break too easily.
Yeah, they're just not strong enough, which is one of the reasons for the whole shoe thing. But anyway, last year I was warned when this farrier was coming. I was like, I want to see the farrier. I want to see him, use the bellows and use and I was warned, like, this person is very conservative, is a Trump supporter. So just avoid.
Just shut up, Sean. Just don't piss off our farrier.
So I was like, okay, that's not a problem. So I went and I saw all the stuff.
And this was pre-election and stuff at this point.
This was, I think, right after the election, actually.
Okay.
But before the fomenting of the insurrection. Before the coup attempt that the former president and his supporters
organized.
Yeah. So this time I knew this person was coming, but I was on a way worse sleep schedule and I had seen it before, it wasn't like I was like, I got to see how.
You're like boring.
I was like,
did it live up to the hype in your head? I forget.
The first time? Yeah, it was cool. It was very cool to see like somebody heating up a forge and hammering and anvil. And
it's cool to have a skill. I don't know. I think about that a lot. I don't know how to do anything. Like, I'm not saying I'm not talented but like tangible skills, like real world, this is something that I could create. I don't have a ton of them.
Oh, I agree. I mean, I have to still fix the chain on this toilet. And I'm like, first of all, I don't know that I'll be able to do it. And second of all, if I do, I am going to feel like I am a king because I did this thing, So yeah, it's cool that this guy knows how to do all this stuff. So, but anyway, I was like, I'm not going to go down. He was going to be there early in the morning. And I was like, I'm not going to go down and whatever. So let me just also preface this story by saying that one of the things I love about my friend, who is the veterinarian who lives up there, she's just an incredible person. But one thing is she's one of those people who takes great delight in small things. Like, I feel like it's easy to be delighted about big things, but small things, it's harder. And she is very engaged in that way. And what
arguably the secret to happiness,
Yeah, I think so. But so that means that there are times when this is going to sound like I'm being insulting or critical, but she just is exuberant. Like, her voice rises in pitch and gets very excited about things that you wouldn't necessarily think that somebody would be excited, whatever. So I was having stayed up till 5 a.m. Now it's like 8:30 in the morning, and I'm up in the barn, and they're downstairs in the stable with the horses. And I can kind of hear stuff. I'm not really paying attention. I'm sort of half asleep or whatever. And then I hear her voice start to rise, and I'm like, oh, there must be something, whatever. But then I'm like, there's something off about this. Like, it feels like, and it just keeps going, and she's going and going and going. And I realize she is like screaming at this guy. And like, I hear the words masks, vaccinations, like all this stuff going on. And it was clearly like there was hostility and anger in the air, And I was like, should I
put some fuel on this fire?
Should I go down there and say, let's do this? Come on, you want to play some Parcheesi, pal? Let's play some Parcheesi. That really was what went through my mind, was like, do I want to go down and get in the middle of this, or is that just going to make things worse? And I felt like it would absolutely make things worse. So I did not go down there. And also, it wasn't like I was concerned that anything was going to happen. It was just, she was clearly upset and venting that at this farrier who she had worked with for quite some time. And I was like, I don't know what's happening, but it doesn't sound good. But I did not go down there. And anyway, come to find out that it was exactly what you would imagine it to be, which was it came out in their conversation that he was not vaccinated. He lived, 3 hours away from where they were. So when he would come into town, sometimes he would stay in the apartment that I was staying in. And, her mother lives there with them, who's 80 years old. And she was like, you were coming into my area with unvaccinated without telling me that you weren't, like, and you could say, like, you should have asked him, you should have stipulated that. But, like, I guess for her, it was like, it never occurred to me that somebody who was working in the public sector wouldn't do that. But of course, it's Idaho. So of course, but, she was saying, like, and he lives apparently with his father, who's had several open heart surgeries, who's also unvaccinated. And so then he started to get into, and she's a veterinarian, so she went to school.
She knows science, yeah.
I mean, she always says, like, I'm not a scientist, but if you want to tell me about viruses, make sure you are an epidemiologist, because that is the only way you know what you're talking about. And so this guy was saying, like, first of all, masks make people sicker, okay? They don't do anything. And she was like, she was going,
then why do all surgeons wear masks and
exactly
have?
What he was saying, make sure you tell that to the doctor who's giving your father his next open heart surgery. Like, make sure he takes his mask off, And then when I was talking to her about it, she explained to me the whole protocol of masks that they learned in vet school, which I actually found really interesting, about, like, direction of coughing and sneezing versus germs and all this stuff. But anyway, so that was one thing. Another thing he was saying, and it's just everything, all the nonsense. Like, look, yes, 700,000 people died, but they were going to die anyway. They were old, or they were fat, or they were sick. So who cares?
They weren't me.
Yeah, COVID killed them, but, they're saying COVID killed them, but that's because they make money off that. They're all making thousands of dollars every time they classify a death as COVID.
People love saying that.
So anyway, I didn't hear this part, but she told me that she called him a motherfucker like 50 times and fired him. That was the end of their relationship that day.
Oh my God.
It was pretty wild.
Whoa.
Yeah. Some big excitement up in Idaho with the anti-vax, anti-mask people. And I went, while I was up there, I guess we talked about this last time, but I had gone to the high school volleyball game. And that was also interesting, because it was like, who has masks on, who doesn't have masks on, who's standing how close to who, which of the kids on the team. I guess there's a couple of kids on the team who are not vaccinated, and that's an issue for the people who do believe in vaccines. So it was just a whole complicated thing, which obviously everybody has been dealing with, but because I've been in my apartment by myself, I'm like, who gives a shit, But in real life, there's a lot of different points of view. So it was wild. It was a wild time.
It's not over.
It's not over. It's not over. And I know this is not a new sentiment, but I still get very upset about the whole thing. Like, there is the truth and there is a lie. And if people didn't believe the lie, things would have gotten drastically better a long time ago. But there are people who benefit from lying by selling books or selling t-shirts or selling beer koozies or selling their political career. So they are going to perpetuate the lie, and people are going to buy into it.
Well, and also, don't you feel like there's that element of, like, if we came together as a united people for this issue, like, that's what should have happened. A lot more would have got accomplished. But it feels like I'm saying exactly what you're saying, but people's entire political careers and ideologies are based on, like, the separation. And I feel like it's too big of a risk to even come together for something that is obvious. Like, a disease a virus shouldn't be political. That shouldn't be a political issue. But they figured out a way.
Right. Well, the virus that I've met, the viruses, octopi, octopuses, viruses that I have met have refused to disclose any party affiliation. So in that sense,
stay out of it.
But I feel like there is something going on. Like some of them are registered. I don't know what, but yes, I mean, I was thinking about this tonight because I was sitting here like an asshole cooking, and I had CNN on, and I was listening to Chris Cuomo rip the Democratic Party. This is an interesting thing to me because I had this discussion with a friend recently where I was complaining about Fox News and Tucker Carlson, how that megaphone of propaganda is deadly. It is deadly to the population of the United States and to the political future of the United States. And my friend's point was, well, the other side has CNN. And I'm like, no, the other side does not have CNN. Because as much as CNN might not be extreme about the right-wing talking points, they also have their own bullshit agenda that they pull all the time. So tonight, Chris Cuomo was ripping the Democratic Party, or the Democrat Party, whatever you want to call it, the Demon Rat Party, about not passing these bills that have been hung up for so long. And he was saying,
that have like almost unanimous support with the population,
right? And he's like, you have these bills. They've been in Congress for so long, and now, and I can't even. I get lost in the particulars of all this stuff, like what's the bill and what's the reconciliation bill and why do they have to be together and what has to happen in order for them to, but which I think is funny because I am paying fairly close attention and I'm still completely confused. And so I'm like, any fucking normal person who has other shit to do is just going to be like, I don't know what the fuck is going on.
Right.
And maybe I'm estimating my powers of understanding, but I do feel like a lot of people would just be like, who gives a shit? I don't know what is going on. I'm going to believe whatever I'm told. I'm going to believe what they tell me on Fox News or CNN. But his point was, this is not passing. And whose fault is it? It's the Democrats' fault. Completely leaving out the fact that this is a two-party system. And so basically what I was responding to was the fact that he's putting no responsibility on the Republican Party, which is going, not interested. We're out. We're not going to participate in this in any way. No senator is going to vote for it. No congressman is going to vote for it. You guys are going to do this on your own. And what's weird about that is one of the tenets, or as some people say, tenants, which means someone who lives somewhere, not a principal, which is what a tenant is. One of the tenets of the Conservative Party all this time has been, we don't need big government. Big government doesn't work. And the problem is they're proving it by being part of big government and going, we're not going to do anything.
Right.
So see, the government, it's like if you had two people who, and one of them was like, seesaws are awesome. Let's play on this seesaw. And the other guy was like, seesaws don't work. And then the first guy was like, just get on that side and I'll be on this side. And the guy got on the other side and he was like, now sit down on it. And the guy stepped off and he'd be like, see, seesaws don't work. They're not fun. But you have to have both sides engaged in order to make something work. It's just a completely, this is, such brilliant political analysis for me, but it's just a completely broken system that the people participating in it are purposely breaking. And people like Chris Cuomo are saying that, it's their fault. The people who are trying are the ones at fault here, not the ones who are fucking it up. And I find that irritating. Ultimately. End of rent. I mean, we'll see. So, checking in. Amber, what's going on?
I got a haircut.
Yes.
I got a haircut, and I was just before this call trying to style it, and I realized that I look like a crude. It's like,
I mean, you guys could be twins, basically. I think you have your next Halloween costume.
I know. She has short legs like me too.
Do you own any fur skin dresses?
So many. Closet full. No, not at the time. Not currently, but yeah, it might be a good Halloween costume, but it's also very sucking up to my company.
I guess that's true. I didn't think about that. You have an affiliation with the Crudes.
Mm-hmm.
I've never seen the Crudes. Are they reasonably ill-mannered?
It's good. I saw the Crudes too.
They're gonna say that
Early on, like it was still storyboards, and I didn't expect anything, and I was like laughing out loud.
Mm-hmm.
It's Nicolas Cage playing a caveman. Like it's good. It's funny. Yeah, I don't know. It's go see Croods. That's why I'm checking it.
This podcast is slowly morphing over time. Like we started to be a murder podcast, then a rom-com podcast.
Now it's just immersed
plugging.
Yeah. Grassroots plug. No, but yeah, I don't know. I feel like I have so much to talk about, but I'm struggling to find like.
Sorry.
What?
We're out of time.
Oh, that's fine. No one cares. But yeah, I went out 2 nights in a row. It was my friend Charlie's birthday party Friday night, and then it was like the 2 Halloween parties on Saturday night.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it took it out of me. Like, and I was home by like 11:45 both nights. Like it wasn't like a wild debaucherous situation, but it was still exhausting. It was fun. Halloween was always my favorite holiday as a kid. I think because I didn't really play dress up. I mean, I didn't really play with toys. I played dress up. So Halloween was like the Super Bowl, like the epitome of my interests.
The zenith?
Yes. Because I don't care about spooky shit really. But I like costumes. And it is fun. Like I went to both Charlie's birthday party and the one on Saturday night. Like and they weren't huge ragers, and they were outside, like just for everyone, and everyone had to be vaccinated. The hosts made that really clear. I have to say that just because I feel guilty because I've talked shit on people hanging out with anyone, and I don't know. It's a complicated time, but I felt okay about it.
You were comfortable with your preconceived notions of what should be done in order to protect people and being at these places.
Right. But that said, they were smaller groups of people. So that meant, like, especially for Charlie's birthday party, like if it were a huge party, there's probably like a percentage of people I would have known, but it's almost like the best friend from each life category. So I'm like, I don't know anybody. Yeah. Like, a couple more of the members of the Truth showed up later, and so I knew them. But all of that said, I loved that it was a costume party because inherently you have something to talk about. Like that isn't like, oh, so what do you do? Or like, I don't know. I hate that. I'm sure I'm guilty of saying it because
you can just get right to like, why are you dressed as Gargamel?
Yeah, or like that's so cool, or who are you? Like there's at least an icebreaker built in.
Mm-hmm.
And on Friday night, I went as Smudgy, which was fun because it was like just for me. Like nobody knows who Smudgy
I was going
is.
to say, did a lot of people guess who you were supposed to be?
Well, they all thought I was a dog, so I was proud of that because I pulled that costume out of my butt in about 20 minutes,
Mm-hmm.
and I was proud of it. I thought it was pretty good. But I would show people. I'd be like, "This is my dog. See, I'm him."
Just a picture on your phone.
Yeah.
Get it? Get it?
And then the next night was supposed to be the more Halloween-y of the Halloween nights because it was closer to Halloween.
Yeah, and the closer you get to Halloween, the more Halloween-y it becomes.
And I miscalculated my costumes. The
dog was too good.
Yeah, the dog was too good.
Mm-hmm.
And I at one point was like, I had all these great ideas for costumes, and then I was like, I don't want to go shopping. I don't want to spend money. I have enough weird stuff around the house. Like, I'll put something together. I did such a great job with the Smudgy costume out of nothing. Like I got a little cocky and wasn't so good. I just went as like, people kept saying, "Who are you?" And I was like, "A party dude." Like I wore black pants with like basketball sneakers and a white shirt with a bow tie and then a black like coat blazer and a neon green hat like to the side, and it was a beard at one point, but I put it on under the hat so it was like I had boy hair, and then I put on a mustache.
Did it help at all if you showed people a picture of Smudgy on your phone? I'm a party dude, see? Oh, I get it. Yeah,
I should have, I don't know, but I was a little disappointed.
I know what you were going to say, and I respect you doing two different costumes. Like, you could have done the same costume the second night.
Yeah, I maybe should have in hindsight. But I also, a big requirement for me, because I'm not used to going out, was comfort. So it was like, I need to be wearing like flats. I need to be wearing pants. I need to be warm. Like, I'm not going to be going out wearing a mini dress and heels. I'm not looking to pick up a guy. So.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I would have had some guesses. I would have been like, are you a valet who's addicted to acid, or are you Cadbury, the butler from Richie Rich?
Somebody here, I don't know if I have any pictures, but somebody said that I looked kind of like Kevin from the Backstreet Boys. And I was like, sure, that's what I am. Or like, I don't know. Like, I was just, I don't know, just not my normal clothes.
Right.
Which is not a costume, but
what do you think is the best costume you ever did?
Oh, I have so many. Well, there was a phase that I was doing a lot of like sexy blank, which is like overdone now, but I feel like I was ahead of the curve on that one.
I think everybody feels that way.
I did sexy Gallagher, which I thought was pretty good. I did sexy Huell Hauser, which I really liked.
Yeah. I mean, sexy Huell Hauser is just Huell Hauser, basically, right?
Right. I mean, same with Gallagher. Yeah, I'm trying to think of other ones. It's tough because I paint myself in a corner where I'm like, well, I can't do anything that's like obvious or that people have done.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like, why?
Right.
Because then you go to the party and everyone's just like a character that has been done a million times, and cool, who cares? It doesn't have to be the most original thought in the world.
I think next year you should go as I painted myself into a corner.
I really wanted to go as Joe Cool from Snoopy, but I couldn't get my act together.
Yeah, that was a big thing for a while, that Joe Cool stuff. Yeah, I've never been a Halloween fan. Like, I've tried to explain this to people over the last few days because I don't quite know how to articulate it, but like, Halloween to me, I mean, when I was a kid, it was fine. It was just an occasion to go out and get candy from everybody in the neighborhood. And I luckily lived in a great neighborhood where people were very generous, and, we'd come home and dump it all out on the floor in the living room and be like, I got this bit of honey. I got these wax lips.
Not a great haul.
It is funny to think back on some of the fucking candies they had back then. But it was never, it wasn't a thing where I was like, I finally get to do this thing I've always wanted to do. I can be the part of me that isn't expressed most of the year. And then I graduated, like, college, whatever. People, I just remember, I'm sure I've talked about this before on the show, but like, I just remember, like, I had a friend in college who dressed up as a guy in bed. So he like taped his mattress to his back, and it turned out to be a disaster because there was one guy who just kept running up behind him and pushing him over, and then he couldn't turn over because people had to lift him up, and that was all night, and then I remember going in college just like normal. People will be like, what are you supposed to be? And I'd be like, I'm the Invisible Man. You can't see me, so you don't know what I'm wearing. Like, it's not which is like the most cynical way to go about doing that. But then when I got out of school and I was living in New York City, my sense of Halloween, and I feel like you're talking about Sexy Gallagher. So you're talking about the aftermath of the initial sexy push of like really like being like, I'm going to dress as not like slutty Gallagher. I'm going to dress as a slutty slut. Like that's what
right.
Me. And this is before any of that. I don't know when that started, but that was something I became aware of a little later. So when I was like teaching junior high school, Halloween was just a day when people put masks on and fucking terrorized other people because nobody knew who they were. Like kids would come from the high school and beat up my students because we had masks on and there was nothing anybody could do about it. So I was just never, the two things I hated when I lived in New York City in the early years was Halloween and 4th of July because of my lack of patriotism. But I just never enjoyed, I was never into Halloween.
I found journal entries from when I was in first grade in like July that were like, still don't know what I'm going to be for Halloween. Like it was my universe. I was obsessed. And the other thing I wanted to say about Halloween, and I may have said all of this on the podcast at one point. We've been doing this 11, 12 years. So, but I was a theater major. So Halloween was like next, like people were studying how to design costumes and do stage makeup and transform themselves. So in college, I was dating Anthony from my hometown in Corona, and he was not a theater major. He did not have theater major friends. And so we would go to like one of my theater department Halloween parties, and it would be like you would be talking to one of your best friends and you couldn't even recognize them. Like if they were in a costume, it was like period specific. It was, and every detail was perfect. Like it was too much. It was extra. And then we would go to one of his friends' Halloween parties, and it would just be like guys in t-shirts and they maybe drawn whiskers, or like a girl in a leotard, but like not even a specific thing, like just sexy, but like not a thing. And it was just like, I feel like we can meet somewhere in the middle. In like, I like the laziness, but I also like the creativity. And I think that hence party dude.
But I think you hit on something that I also don't like about Halloween, and maybe this speaks to my own psychological insecurities, is I don't like to not know who people are when they know that I should know who, like, that control of like, I'm wearing a mask, so you can't tell who I am and you don't recognize me, and therefore I have status over you. I always find that uncomfortable. I mean, I remember that from this was not a question where I was like, I feel uncomfortable with our statuses, octopi, but didn't we do like a Halloween show or something, or had a Halloween episode or something? At
Probably.
some point?
Probably
The lab?
multiple.
No, it was the one where, yes, the famous picture of Joe on the bus with the mask on.
Oh, yes.
And I think that was before Joe was part of the show. So he was just there. And it really rubbed me the wrong way that he was just lurking in a mask, like, here I am. I have a mask on. You don't know it's me. So I have this impermeable wall between us. And I'm just picking that as a specific because both of us were there.
Mhm.
But I always feel that way around people who are like, dressed up in some way.
Yeah, it's so weird that I love Halloween. I think I love costumes and dress up and like makeup so much that it supersedes it. But one of my greatest fears since I was a baby is someone in a mask. Because
Mhm.
you don't know who they are, and you also don't know like how they're feeling. That sounds really, I don't know. I also hated talking on the phone because of that. I think I get a lot of my communication through nonverbal communication, and without a mask,
Of course you do. You're a human being.
I'm a human being. But yeah, I also though I thought this is what you're going to talk about like I should know who that person is, but I don't. But you went a different way. Is I feel like people are going like more and more deep cut, like I'm this character from a show from 10 years ago from one episode. Like, okay, like.
Yeah. Yeah. That is a different thing, but that is like, how do you not know that I'm the guy from Two Girls, a Guy, in a Pizza Place?
The one who isn't Ryan Reynolds.
Right. Two Guys, a Girl, whatever that fucking show was. Yeah. Speaking of shows, I have another question, which is, have we talked on this show, because we're diversifying our portfolio in terms of subjects. Have we talked on this show, and I think we maybe have a little bit, about my new favorite show that I know you have also watched on NBC, which is called La Brea.
I'm not caught up. I only saw the first 2 episodes because I promised the truth I'd watch it with them, and we're having hell of a time scheduling, as you could imagine.
Schedule those things. Okay, then I won't get into it, but I do find it fascinating.
Is it still good?
It's incredible. It's truly incredible. I only a few television programs have ever caught my interest in the way that this show has, in terms of like, I do not enjoy this, but I will continue to watch it for the wrong.
Well, it's just wild. You know this, I know this, a lot of people know this, but there's so many people in this town that are incredibly talented, that are begging for work.
Mm-hmm.
Writers, actors, directors, like the whole gamut. And it's just wild to see something come together that it's like, how did this happen?
It is. It's incredible. Remember we talked about in 27 Dresses about how there was no subtext. It was just all like, your problem is when you were younger, your mother died, and now you can't maintain a relationship because you're too afraid that person is going to leave you. Well, your wife left you, your bride left you at the altar. So, it was just all about wounds and healing and like, and
it was all very easy. Like it just took one action.
Right.
It wasn't like a deep-seated thing that takes a lot of work.
Your life is not a mess. It just has one. It's like the toilet chain. Like you just need your toilet chain, and your life will be better. But with La Brea, it's a similar thing but different, where it's just about the action. Like, in other words, there's no internal stuff going on with anybody. It's just like, we're trapped here. We need to get out. How are we going to get out? Well, we could take that plane, but that plane crashed. Is there a way we could fix that plane? Well, there's another plane over there. Maybe if we go to the other plane and get the things from that plane that can fix this plane, we can fix this plane and get out before the other thing happens that's going to happen that's going to make things worse for us. Like, it's just everybody speaking what needs to happen after that.
And no one has any feeling about any of it.
No thoughts, nothing. It really, I guess that's what makes me laugh about it so hard. Is like, I'm like, oh, these people have they don't have any inner life. They're just action driven. Like, what are we doing next? What's happening? And also that.
But you thought they were really good actors, right?
I was trying to think of where that came from. And I think it's just because I said I like Natalie Zea, who's like the star of the show, which she's not good in this, but she was good in Justified. She played the wife in Justified, which was a show that actually was good. But anyway, yeah, I'm 4 episodes ahead of you, so you got to catch up.
Wow. Yeah. Okay.
There's a lot of great stuff. In fact, one of the people who joins the cast, and spoiler alert, but it's a guy that I used to do CrossFit with for a couple of years. He has like a big role on the show. So
that's cool.
Kind of funny to see him as the romantic, the romantic lead in the show. That's the other funny thing. I mean, I don't want to get into anybody, criticizing anybody's performances, because I do think the acting is incredible. It's amazing. The actors are all.
I'm sure people are directed a certain way, and that the script only gives you so much.
Just one person who stands out to me, which is the daughter on the show, who I don't know exactly what happened, but there was some kind of accident where she lost a leg or something.
Right. That's first episode.
It's backstory that we get to in the first 2 minutes of the first episode. Like, we make sure that's her inner life. Her inner life is that she lost a limb. Like, that's her thing. But I'm sure she's a very nice person, but she has such a hard job, because all she does is go, Dad, what are we going to do? Dad, no, Dad, please, Dad. It's just, she probably says that 15 times an episode. Dad. So anyway, check out La Brea. It's great. It's fun. So what else? Checking in. What else is going on?
Work is very busy. I got a haircut. Succession is very good. Are you watching that? I thought that's what you were going to talk about when you were talking about favorite shows. Are you watching?
No, see, Succession I like, so I don't feel like I have to pick it apart. I can just sit back and let it wash over me, and just enjoy it for what it is.
But are you caught up? Mm-hmm. In the first episode of season 3, Kendall asks Cousin Greg, like, could you do listen in and see what the sentiment is online? And he's like, turns out the internet's a pretty big place. I was dying because that was me, like, the first week of my job.
Oh, really? Yeah, there's a lot of opinions out there.
Yeah, I don't know. Checking in. I don't know. Nothing. The party that I ended up going to on Saturday night after the after party was where have I told you that Smudgy has one dog friend that they hang out together in their yard? Yeah. He's got one dog friend. They hang out together in their yard. And so this party was there. Smudgy didn't come to this party, but it's a block away.
Did the dog mistake you for Smudgy? Because, oh no, this was the second night.
Yeah, no. They were like, "Are you a party dude?" And I was like, but I grew up on a commune. So like I was communal within the commune, but like getting to school or a store or anything was like at least 20-25 minutes away. You get on in your car, you get on a freeway. Like everything is always driving. Point is, now when I can just walk somewhere and it's that close, it feels like a miracle. And it was so wonderful. I mean, I got home nice and early, but like I could have left to come home to go to the bathroom and gone back. Like it was that close. It was really fun. And that was also like I can't not go. Like there's literally nothing stopping me.
No excuse. Yeah, I mean, I was thinking about that when I was having all my adventures today and like nearly running somebody off the road or being run off the road or whatever. It's like, God, and like, you know, I was talking about going to the post office in that lot and how it's a public lot, but now you have to pay all this money for it. And like, I did drive in there and it's so like, they put 50 car spaces in room enough for 40 spaces.
Right.
It's so condensed and
then like backing back out, it's like everyone's mad at you.
This is a fucking nightmare. And then, you know, and I don't mean to sound like Fox News, but just driving through Hollywood, every 20 feet, there is a lunatic on the street. Someone with, not a lunatic, but somebody who's having severe mental problems or drug addiction problems or whatever their problems are, you know, screaming at the top of their lungs or freaking out and I'm just like, why? I don't know. I had a weird moment of like, what am I doing living in this city where there's just such abject misery everywhere? Everything is designed for people to be miserable. So that was a pleasant afternoon.
Yeah.
And look, you know, you go up to Idaho, you got a fucking farrier who thinks that it was fine for 700,000 people to die. So there's shit going on everywhere. But
yeah,
it's just what I was dealing with today.
It's interesting. Living in a society, it's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
It's not for the weak.
No. Maybe that's what it was. Maybe I was just feeling weak.
That's not what I was saying.
Because I came home and I was like, oh, at least I'll have time. I can go for a run. I'm trying to focus on like doing physical activities because at least that's something I can do every day. Because I feel like I'm not getting anything done. Nothing gets done. I have so many projects I want to be working on, but I'm too busy buying a toilet chain to work on whatever my next writing thing is going to be. But I'm like, at least I can get out and do something physical. So I came home and I was like, I have a few hours before I have to do this podcast thing that we do, and so I can go up to the Hollywood Reservoir. So let me lay down for 2 minutes. And that was it, you know, that was it. That was the end of that dream. I mean, I think I will go for a little bit of a walk after this, which is not the same. It's better than nothing, but you know, and I will say in my defense, I did force myself to get up at some point and I cooked a bunch of food for the next week or so. Like that's always a big project that, you know, got that done, but I don't know. It's frustrating. I have a problem, and I think this is not uncommon. A lot of people have this. I have a problem with the internet, you know? It's like, I want to know everything. I want to know everything. And the thing about the internet, like you were saying, it's big
gonna
place.
Keep going.
There's a lot to know. You can keep knowing more things.
And it
always know more things.
It grows as you're reading.
Yeah. Yeah. There's always links. They give you links. You can just click on a link and get to a new thing. More information. And the problem is the thirst for information is bottomless, but so is the amount of information. So it's a perpetual loop, and it becomes very distracting. So I'm struggling with that. Struggling, but trying not to be weak.
I know I've been a little bit hard on myself. What we were talking about earlier, like how busy I used to be.
Mm-hmm.
It's debatable whether it was productive busyness, but I was busy. I had a full calendar, and I feel a lot less busy. But it's not like I still don't have time. Like I don't understand it where it goes.
Yeah, I don't either. I'm like, where did this? I mean, I know, a lot of today was just me at the hardware store, but generally speaking, that's not what happens, and it does not feel productive at all. But I've been told that I am very successful here in Hollywood, so I need to remember that and not denigrate any of that. Why do you always have tape on the wall behind you?
It's not my wall. It's Jeff's wall. And he has this amazing painting. Hold on one second.
You should play the Jeopardy theme song or something. Ah.
And so he hasn't pulled the trigger to...
I'm familiar to actually hang it.
Oh, so this isn't even my story, but it's the kind of story that would you would still like I would still be talking you down. But for our first anniversary, March 2020, we bought a plane ticket to go to Las Vegas. Ha 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 ha. Like it wasn't a good time, turns out. And we, got like the voucher, you can redeem it at another time, blah, blah, blah. And we're going to go in the second weekend of December to visit his family. We haven't seen them at all since our wedding, which is 3 years now. Wow. And so it was like, oh, we'll just use that credit, that flight credit. Couldn't be easier, right? And poor Jeff did it all. But I came in and I was like, oh, did Smudgy go out? And he just was like, and he picked up a piece of paper and he was like 2 hours. He was on the phone for 2 hours. And like even the person helping him was like, I want to help. Like this needs an override or an approval that I don't have authority for. Anyway, it's done. It was figured out, but it was clearly purposefully difficult because they were hoping that people don't cash them in and then it's just free money for them, right?
I would assume so, yeah. I mean, I just went through a similar thing where I had bought a ticket this past summer to go visit Virginia with my family, and I canceled the very last minute, but I got not a refund, but like a credit for the amount of the ticket. And so now I'm trying to book, and I should have done this sooner. I'm trying to book a ticket to go back to New York for Christmas. And just today I was like, okay, let me see if I can. And I couldn't, I gave up pretty quickly. Like I was like, I'm not going to be able to do this as quickly as I need to. So I'm just going to buy a ticket through a different.
That's how they get you.
Airline.
But have you flown?
Not without assistance, mechanical assistance.
I mean, since the pandemic, I haven't.
No,
I haven't.
No.
So I'm a little bit nervous because not the COVID of it all, though maybe a little bit, but just I keep hearing news stories about everyone being a lunatic on the planes.
Yeah. I just feel like there's so much pent up rage about everything, there are people, I mean, here is another part of what we were talking about earlier. Sorry, I'm going back on this fucking rant bullshit.
Oh no.
But there are people whose whole purpose in life, and there's one who was the best at it, and has since been banned from social media, but their whole purpose is just to make people angry. Like, in other words, they triangulate themselves on any position in such a way that either it's going to make the people who agree with them angrier, or it's going to make the people who don't agree with them angrier. And it doesn't matter which one. They don't care as long as there is more anger. Right. That is the desired result. I mean, I shudder to admit this, and I had a reason to do it, which I never followed through on. But I follow now Marjorie Taylor Greene on Twitter, and it's just fucking crazy to me. I mean, literally triangulating her position on any issue in such a way, like it's her job to upset.
To be like incendiary, no matter what.
That's all she wants to do is exactly that, is throw gas on the fire of anybody's anger about anything. It doesn't matter what it is.
Right.
And it doesn't matter which side they're angry about, as long as there is more anger. It seems crazy to me.
Watch out about following her, though, because some people might get the wrong idea about you. Honestly.
Well, the problem is not following her. The problem is that I always reply to her tweets.
She's texting you now.
I give her thumbs up. Yes, go MGT.
You understood the assignment.
Yeah. 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 No, I mean, I keep saying there's no reason to be doing it at this point, except it is sort of an amazing window into the way the world has become so crazy that there is a person out there who thinks this is what she needs to be doing right now. She clearly, I can't imagine somebody like that is, maybe I'm wrong, but I can't imagine somebody like that is in any way thinking to themselves, I am making the world a better place. That's not.
I think she does think that. I don't know.
I feel like, I don't know. That's why I say I might be wrong, because what the fuck do I know? But I feel like somebody like that is so self-involved that she's like, I just need to get reactions from people because this is what makes me feel good about myself, is people being upset. I mean, it is kind of funny that if I go and look at one of her tweets, within the first 10 or 15 replies will always be at least 3 of the same thing from the same guy saying, this is how you can donate to Planned Parenthood. That he is so, I'm sure he's it's automated or something, but that there's somebody out there who's if she's going to keep doing this, I'm going to find a way to, because all of the replies are you fucking moron. What the fuck is wrong with you? So I guess that's why I say I can't imagine that part of her is no, I'm doing the right thing to make the world better. No, she's just owning the libs, making people angry. Like you said, being incendiary. Anyway, it just is a bizarre way to approach the world that I don't totally understand it, I guess. I find it incomprehensible. I just can't wrap my mind around why someone would want to spend their life doing that. I get why someone would want to spend their life obsessively thinking about that person
and following them and
following them on Twitter. Yeah. That I get. But I don't get what her game is, All right, why don't we take a break, and then we'll come back and we'll do a segment on the show that we like to call the Bye Bye. We are back. You were listening to The Long Shot. It is a podcast. Amber is here. I'm here. Joe and Jamie are on assignment. Jamie was here recently, not too long ago, a couple of weeks ago. I guess
Last time I was here.
last real episode. Yeah, I was barely here the last time I was here. Not that I'm really even here now, but you know what I'm saying. Like,
Wow.
But I don't know what's going on with Joe. I'd like to find out. So why don't we see if we can find out what's going on with Joe? Can you hear that?
Mm-hmm.
It's not picking up. Still ringing. I don't know if you can hear that.
Your call has been forwarded to an automatic voice message system. 32.
I'm not going to give away his phone number on the air. You know.
I didn't even think of that. That's very funny.
As soon as they said your call has been forwarded to an answering voice, you know, whatever, I was like, oh, are they going to say his number? And that's in fact what they would have done.
They did. They wanted to.
I really wanted to just leave him a message and say, hey, we're on air, buddy. What's going on? But that didn't happen. So maybe we'll find out one of these days whether Joe understood the assignment and what's going on. I don't know why that's so funny to me, but it really is. All right. Well, it's time for a segment on the show that we like to call Parting Shots. I have like a really long thing I want to do, but I'm not going to do it this time. So this is what I'll say. I'll only say this. This is the only thing I'll say. I don't know if anybody listens to this show who is a writer, an aspiring TV writer of any kind, but I am trying to publicize another pilot class that I'm doing. I just finished one, which I felt was, they're all good, but this one in particular, I think was really great and just good group of people who did some really good work, and that always makes me happy. So I am starting another one at the end of November. So if anybody listens to this show is somebody who is interested in that kind of thing, find me on Facebook or email me. Sean@SeanConroy.com is my email. Joe Wagner's phone number is 323. But I can give you the details on that. So that's my parting shot. Amber, parting shots.
Yeah, I had Monday off of work. It came from on high from the president of the company. We had sort of a mental health day to thank us for how difficult it's been to work from home for the past almost 2 years now.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. I feel like it was just a please don't quit, you know, like because that's happening. I don't know if you've noticed.
No, I've heard about that.
I mean, every time I have a meeting, because I keep saying, oh, I'm new to the team. And anytime I have a meeting with someone internal or external, they're also like, that is the case across the board. It is rarer to meet people who are like, yes, I've been doing this exact job in this exact place for.
Yeah, there's nobody there who's like, yeah, I made it through the Spanish flu of 19. And I'm still here, and I'm still going to be here after the next pandemic.
So it's a wild, changey time. But so we had Monday off, which was nice. But
when did you find out?
A couple weeks ago.
Oh, okay. Wasn't surprised.
No. And I mean, Jeff obviously didn't have the day off, so it wasn't like we were gonna go anywhere. And
great, thanks a bunch, Jeff.
There's this little river walk actually behind DreamWorks that I used to walk.
I'm familiar. I've been there.
You have? Mm-hmm. But it's very sleepy. Like it's never crazy populated. And so I woke up on Monday, and by like 10:30, Smudgy and I went there and we did the whole walk, and it was wonderful because he's good on a leash. He's not great if he sees another dog or a person he hates. And so we did that whole, it's almost a mile, I want to say. And I think we saw one other person, and it's against the beautiful LA River. And then we cross the street and there's a little park that it's kind of Smudgy's Park. That's where we go a lot because it's in Glendale. It's not usually very highly populated, and going in the morning on a Monday, it was even less so. So I let him off the leash and I let him just like run, and it made me emotional because it's so clearly what he's meant to do. Like, he looks so natural running at a very, very high speed. And he looks happy. It's the happiest you'll ever see him. He just looks, again, like it's just, this is his purpose. This is how things, and it made me, I wish that I had like a big English estate with a huge yard, because he can't do that very often in our, like he runs in our apartment, but it's not the same as,
Right.
and
Trained.
yeah. And I mean, and he was chasing squirrels. He was having the greatest time. It was like Disneyland for him. And so that was really, really fun. But that was mostly my day off, was that. And then I came home and
I don't know if the people who created the Croods would be happy to hear you say it reminded you of Disneyland.
you'd be surprised how many Disney freaks are at DreamWorks. And yeah, it was a nice day. It wasn't anything crazy. I was proud of myself because in the past, I know that on a day like that, I would have put a lot of pressure on myself. I either have to like get XYZ accomplished, or like have this much fun, or like, and I was just like, I'm gonna take it easy sleazy. I don't want to just sit on the couch and watch TV all day. I think that would be depressing. And I didn't, I went for that long walk with Smudgy. I did some yoga in the living room. I took a long bath, but then I watched some TV, and like it felt earned. It didn't feel like I was just being depressive, and it was nice.
How long did it take you to do that mile of the river? Here, so 4 minutes is about the goal that people should have.
Right. Yeah, we were sprinting the whole time. I mean, he smells stuff. It takes a while. So I parked like at DreamWorks, and we walked the Dream Walk. No, it's not the Dream Walk. There is a Dream Walk in DreamWorks. We walked the River Walk, and then we crossed the street to that park and saw horses and stuff. And
any farriers? Be careful of farriers.
I didn't see a farrier, but don't quote me on that. I might not have recognized a farrier that I had seen.
You would know. They have bellows and anvils and hammers.
I don't know what a bellow is, but I know what an anvil is.
You would know what a bellows. If you saw a bellows, you'd be like, "That's a bellows." I get it.
Okay.
I remember now that I knew what that was.
I've always known this, and I will never not know this. Right. And so we played in the park a little while, and then we had to do obviously that whole river walk back, and then I drove home, and I think I was gone 2 hours total. So it wasn't a long trip. Does that make sense?
2 hour mile. I mean, Roger Bannister did that in 1954, probably 5 years before he broke the 4 minute mile. So that's not that impressive.
Yeah, we weren't going for speed.
Easy to say that after, That's what he said too. No, I wasn't going for the record. Okay, Roger. Whatever you say.
Do you get trick or treaters?
They can't get into the building, I think.
Right.
And I'm still not going to let them in.
In my old apartment, that's how. My old apartment, that's how it was, where you couldn't even get in the gate. Right. So trick or treaters wasn't a thing. But this year, we're the first floor, and it's more like a house. Like, we have a door directly to the sidewalk on some level. So I was like, maybe we will. We got candy, and I was like, but I don't know if even people are doing that with the COVID of it all. Like, I don't know, but
with the COVID and the virus and the vaccines, I don't know if people are even doing that anymore.
But we also don't have control over the lights in the front. Like, just our neighbors do. It's actually kind of frustrating, because there's times that I would like it on or off, and I'm at the whim of the other people we live with.
Can you call a meeting of some sort?
I'm sorry?
Can you call a meeting of some sort?
Well, I mean, like, anytime I want them to switch the light switch on, I guess. Like, they
Nice.
turn it on eventually. It's just, they're not home right away.
Right.
But those lights weren't on at all. So I was like, okay, my neighbors don't want trick-or-treaters. I don't think we look like a dark, spooky house and not in a Halloween-y way. So we didn't get a single trick-or-treater, but
Yeah.
that's okay.
No, that's a
Because
bummer.
Smudgy would have lost his mind. That's like his actual nightmare. But I liked the idea of it.
I'm just thinking about my father. My father is so crazy. Because he used to put in like vampire teeth and hide in the bushes outside our house.
Oh, no.
So that when kids would come up trick-or-treating, he'd be like, welcome, and just scare the shit out of little kids.
That's so funny.
What a nut job. All right, folks, this is The Long Shot. This has been The Long Shot, and this will always be The Long Shot. The original Long Shot, not that new bullshit. With that guy who got a $90 million contract from Miami Heat. I think that's true. I think he got a $90 million.
I mean, so did we.
Yes, I forgot about that. All right. We will see you next time. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.